So are we starting?
Yes, Geeta, let's begin with the, the briefing and the introductions, and then NASA will take over in the middle.
So you are sharing screens, and shall I
Yes.
share screen?
I am sharing screens, you can go.
So let me extend a warm welcome formally to Professor Dr. Sanghamitra Basu and architect Ankon Mitra, who have really spent a lot of time in the first stage of the jury itself. I think it's been an extensive job to sift through the presentations and of course graciously agreed to be here today and tomorrow to listen to the presentations. Thank you both of you. The theme for this year is Rudiments for NASA, which really talks about going back to the basics and looking at where we come from, I guess. And the ETHOS trophy, which started a few years ago, focuses on the individual ethos, sensitivities and value systems of the students who are to be responsible professions of the future. We are looking at them showcasing themselves as future professionals and not just, it's straitjacketed in a particular segment of their life in college. So we are looking at 5 years next. So we released the brief on 28th of November. The registration deadline was 25th of December. NASA was coordinating this, and we had, there were other rules like every college couldn't give more than 3 entries per academic year. And this was started, I think, to also involve and engage students at an individual level rather than also at, the Rubens looks at the college level engagement, but this was also to look at and recognize students at an individual level. The queries deadline was till January 15th. And the first stage of submission was 7th February and the second stage was 21st February. And NASA is quite strict on these things, and I'm sure there would have been a few who would have been eliminated because they didn't kind of qualify or stick to some of these rules. Next one. Open to all undergraduate students as well as the fresh graduates of architecture, meaning those that actually graduated in the last June to July session. Yeah. We had a total of 162 entries. These are legitimate entries that you evaluated. First year, there were 32, second year, 34, third year, 43, fourth year, 22, and fifth year, there were 31. So from that, so the first, the evaluation criteria that we've put in, you're familiar with it, the jury already, that you have a first impression. We said 5%. Design process itself, which we think is essential, and that need not be restricted to design projects, but across the board, the process that is followed is at 40%. Technical skills is at 15%. Articulation skills, presentation skills, and including stuff like estimation comes into 10%. And ancillary and allied skills, which is brings in that complete package in the individual, is at 20%. So there are these tangibles and intangibles. You were mentioning that also through, through the presentations, you could probably grasp the intangibles as well. So we'd like you to look out for those, on their sensitivity, on their understanding of composition or color or other value systems that can be depicted through their approach to design. This was a trophy that we designed internally for this particular competition, and the arrangement is that every year there are first year, second year, third year, fourth year, their names kind of get tagged on to this, the names of the winners, and at the end of 4 years, it's a rolling trophy. So every year it kind of stays with the college that has the maximum number of winning names in that particular year. And at the end of it, the college that has the maximum across the 4 years gets to keep this trophy. So this is the 4th year, am I right? And now we are looking at next year, probably redesigning and bringing in a new trophy back on board.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty large size trophy actually. So it'll be, take a pride of place in the college. We have 3 jury members, architect Neelam Manjunath, who couldn't join us today because she had her vaccination taken and she's feeling some side effects. She's a architect, planner, scientist, activist, theoretician, and many of us know her as the expert on bamboo, the crusader for bamboo. So yes, unfortunately, we'll be missing her today. And Ankon has been a dear friend. I'd like to begin by introducing him as the first champion of Acumen, the quiz on architecture that we host. But he's a co-founder and design director of Hexagram Design New Delhi, and specializing in hotels, resorts, landscape of different scales, high-end boutique, residential developments, etc. He also specializes in how art and architecture can actually be brought together and married, and works on art as a discipline by itself as well. Welcome on board, Ankon. And of course, the special Didi for me, Dr. Sanghamitra Basu, a retired professor from the Department of Architecture and Regional Planning at IIT Kharagpur, with over 35 years of experience in teaching. I felt, it was important to bring someone like her here also, because I've been with her on a couple of occasions and seen her enthusiasm for imparting teaching in the right manner. And I thought it would be nice to have her as part of this Q&A session. She's a member of ICOMOS and a part of the scientific committee of ICOMOS as well. And she's curated quite a few courses, which are online courses on heritage conservation, etc., that are hosted online. And I think it'll be worth your while to explore some of those as well. So welcome, Sanghamitra Di. And I'll hand it over to Nikita from here, if you take us through what is going to happen today.
Yeah. So I'm going to quickly show how we arrived at the sequence of the presenters, though there are only 4 presenters per year, but it's important that even that is randomized so that everybody has a fair chance. So we did a little video which I'm going to just play. So that was a random picker for first year. So that was for first. I'm not sure my audio was playing, so I'll just.
It's okay. It was a little on and off, but that's fine.
I'll just reshare my this thing. And I'll also play the one for 5th year for today, because those are the 2 years we are going to be looking at. That's the sequence, and which is very much in order on the jury evaluation sheet that was emailed to the jury panel. I'll allow Siddhi to call on the participants on stage if they are ready, and go one by one. Siddhi?
Before that, a big thank you to NASA for having us as partners and hosting this trophy named after ETHOS. Thank you. All yours, Siddhi.
Thank you, Geeta ma'am, ETHOS team, Nikita and her team, especially for coordinating and going on and off with us. Thank you, Jurors, Sanghamitra ma'am and Ankon sir. And thank you, Neelam ma'am, also for helping us through this on a very short notice. You had helped us with all the entries. We are really grateful. Probably we have 3 participants here, so we can go ahead. There's some problem on our end, like network problem by the person who's going to broadcast. So probably we'll not wait. We'll go with the presentation. When he joins, we can help it out. Is that fine?
That's fine, and you can take the recording from us for the
Yeah.
yeah. We'll just
Yeah.
go ahead now. So yes, the first one is number 56 from first year, and I request the person to come
Either
forward.
you want to just tell them the time limit for the presentation and the question and answer, please.
Yes, so 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A by the jury right after the presentation. Then we'll move on to the next. I'm sorry, we have a little bit of, we have to be stringent on time because there are quite a few entries to look at, and we need to follow.
Otherwise, we'll be sitting, and I think it's not,
Yes.
we'll be sitting in front of the screen for a long time. So we'd like to keep to time. And who's keeping time?
I'll do that. Siddi can help
You're
me.
keeping time.
Yeah,
I'll help you in that. A
And
warning will
any
be...
questions from the jury members before we begin, so that we can give the student a fair chance when he or she's presenting.
After 10 minutes, you'll be stopped, or you want a warning at 9. Will that do?
Hello.
A warning at 9. Do you want a warning at 9 minutes or 8 minutes?
No, ma'am, that will be fine, I guess. I can
You'll take care.
Yeah, I'll manage. Okay, ma'am.
And
So you can hear me
any
well,
questions? 1 minute before you begin. Any questions? Any doubts? Ankon and Sanghamitra Di? Can we get him to start?
No, you can start. I don't have any doubt.
Okay. So
okay, ma'am.
yeah.
You can hear me well, right?
we can hear you
Very
well.
clearly.
You can share your screen and just
Oh.
Relax, deep breathe, and enjoy yourself is all I'll
Yes,
say.
ma'am.
All the best.
Thank you.
All the best.
So you can see my screen, right? I'll just start.
Yes.
So good morning to everyone present here, and especially esteemed jury panelists. So today I'm here to present my first year portfolio from the year 2019 to 20, which I very aptly like to call Ingress, a gateway to architecture. So a little background as to why I chose this name, which might be very obvious, because this was my gateway to architecture. Every project or every work that you see in this portfolio kind of reflects how I came into this field, how I developed my style, and what experiences I had or the fun I had while in my inceptive year of architecture. So yeah, I'd like to start. So starting with a quote by the great architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, architecture starts when you carefully put two bricks together. There it begins. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, as it's rightly said, which is exactly what this portfolio encompasses. And it's my extreme pleasure to guide you through a few of my academic work from my inceptive year of architecture. So again, little background as to why I took architecture. So it's a very simple story. I had two lives, science and art, and I could just not part with any of the two. I could just not part with any of the two. And that is when I discovered architecture, where I could not only explore my artistic side or my scientific side, but I could explore so much more. And that's the simple reason why I took up architecture, and I'm very thankful that I did. So starting with some of the things I explored in first year, the first project that I would like to present is from the subject that is the basic unit of everything, that is basic design. This is the building block of every other design principle or every other thing you'll explore in architecture or any other design field. So this project, I like to call it an urban meadow. So the aim of the task was to imagine a plot of 60 by 30 meters in the middle of a bustling urban context, surrounded by busy roads and skyscrapers, and envision a public space exploring open and semi-open spatial interventions. The concept was inspired by curvilinear essence of rose petals, their layering and overlapping, leading to seemingly vibrant meadows in the middle of a concrete jungle. A beautiful public space encompassing a series of pathways, stairways, green spaces, mural walls where people can explore their artistic side, and a multi-purpose pavilion encouraged socialization, bonding between users and nature, and it also facilitated the creation of a social hub for the city. A lot of interventions, such as the pavilion, which can act as a public library, acts as a small meditative as well as celebratory space too. The skywalks provide users with a dynamic view of the space. It gives a new perspective to the design. Other semi-open and transition spaces, especially such as stepped surfaces, facilitate a very good place for socialization. That also gives a variety of uses to the people, and especially the mural wall. That is where people can explore their artistic side and sort of each other close, bring themselves closer to each other. So this was the first basic design project that I ever did, and I had a blast making it. Talking about the next project, uh, when we talk about architectural design, it is considered as the most essential subject in the field of architecture, where you actually explore and apply everything else you've learned in every other subject and beyond. So this project is called Anchal, an encirclement of hope. It's a 3,300 square meter preschool in one of the vibrant residential neighborhoods of Navi Mumbai. Anchal is a Sanskrit word meaning radius or zone, and that is exactly what the design focuses on, involving kids in their zone, their talent, and their likes and interests, fueling their curiosity and helping them grow among exploration. So when talking about the concept, it has been inspired by the curvilinearity of natural elements, the sun, the moon, the flowers, and the fluidity of water, everything that makes the mind feel safe, comfortable, compassionate, and warm. It creates two blocks. The first one with ancillary activities such as a dining hall, a multi-purpose hall, an admin block, and the second being three separate learning centers for the three separate grades of preschool. The materials used, with laterite brick walls and clay tile clad roofs, gives it a tinge of vernacular architecture from the west and the south. These, along with interventions such as skylights for natural lighting, makes it a very efficient design. The two blocks are connected with a versatile play area with various textures and various interventions and twisting pathways to create a very surreal learning village straight out of a storybook. So when you look at it, it sort of gives the feeling like a small fairy tale village from a kid's storybook, and that is exactly what I really wanted to do. A place where we can let their imagination soar. The third one is a one that I actually had a lot of fun making. It's another one from basic design. It's the aim of which was to create choose an element from nature that we actually chose after a nature walk and decipher its framework and then envision a structural space from it. I chose the flower Mimosa strigulosa or powder puff as the basis for my design. It's a very exotic flower that I found out, and it was really beautiful. An initial framework of the flower was made, and its glittering projections were sort of analyzed. So when we look at the flower, the main components are a center and its glittering projections. Uh, so these projections and this entire shape of the flower was imagined in a structure I like to call gul. So it's a center for conservation and of exotic species in the world of botany. So gul is a Persian word meaning flower, which is exactly what it is. A beautiful, enormous flower in the middle of an urban context, acting as a botanical floral garden and a center for education in conservation and natural species. So when the way I came to this conclusion after I saw this flower was that it can make a very beautiful close structure. And then I realized what can a flower inspire? So that can very well inspire a botanical garden, a beautiful, giant, colorful sort of flower that sits in the middle of an urban context and kind of adds that vibrant feeling to the city. And it can very well become a hub for socialization for multiple uses. And that is exactly what inspired this. So next, when we talk about other subjects, so as architecture Louis Kahn once said, even a brick wants to be something. Every structure starts the basic collection of raw materials. And that is where architectural building and construction materials comes in as an essential subject for education in building materials, material joineries, their properties, details, etc. Hence, the analysis and drafting of different materials and joineries becomes important, an example of which can be seen below, showcasing timber trusses, their details, and joinery. So as we know, architectural building and construction materials is very important as it's a building block of architecture. This knowledge is what you apply in your architectural design to a great extent. and hence this is my work, one of my works from the ABCM subject. The great architect, the fabulous architect, actually my favorite, which is Zaha Hadid, once said there are 360 degrees, so why stick to one? So when we talk about architecture, it's not just the designing and the construction of buildings, but it's also a variety of disciplines that have been developed by humanity. From entertainment to art to architecture, you have everything that comes in architecture, and especially the visual art. So the visual arts forms a very important role in the field of architecture, and that is exactly what will be showed next in the next presentation. So exploring the visual arts, be it as a part of academics, as an extracurricular activity, or as a hobby, becomes a part of daily life in the field of an architect or an architecture student. Be it graphical art, traditional artwork, sketching, or even model making. So a few of my work outside of academics that I could explore in architecture can be seen on the slide in front of you. When we look at it clockwise from top, uh, the first project itself, it's one of my favorite things that I've ever done. It's very simple, but yet I don't know, it kind of captures me a lot. So it's a series of graphical editing I like to call Mumbai X Van Gogh, where I explore parts of the city of Mumbai in a dreamy, surreal Van Gogh painting. So the idea of how I came up with it was I love Vincent Van Gogh, is one of my favorite artists, and I love Mumbai where I reside. So when I look at both of these things, when I look at go to Mumbai and I look at the beautiful architecture and it's very dreamy, it's almost surreal. So I actually wanted to imagine. I kind of was sitting one day and I thought, why not combine them both? And I was sitting on my phone and I actually made it on my phone. And I actually kind of shared it with people and they loved it. And that's why I really wanted to add this in my portfolio, because that is what architecture is about, right? Imagining something and bringing it to reality. So that's what I did. Then the second one is mood boards and digital scrapbooking. I edit photographs and I
I
doodle
need
over them.
to just run through the slides now because you've crossed the 10-minute mark.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is it actually. It's the last slide. That's it actually.
It was on the dot, really nice.
Yeah, it was. I was just about to finish.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So yes, Sanghamitra Di, Ankon, do you have any questions for this young man?
So can I start? May I start?
Please do. Please do.
I think it's very well presented and you have expressed your passion for other, and I really appreciate your Van Gogh series.
Thank you.
And I have just a small question that
Yeah.
for that Novi Mumbai project,
Yeah. Can
what
I go
was
there?
you may or you may not.
Okay.
Why have you selected the vernacular architecture? Because that's very much an urban setting. To Korea started with that, but now, as I understand, it's a. So, what is the reason you have chosen the vernacular material there?
The reason why I did it is because it's something that I personally could connect in my mind, which is when I look at a kid's mind, right? That is what when we give them a sheet of paper, that's an activity we actually did when we were making that project. Is when you give them a piece of paper and you ask them to make something, they'll always make a house that has a sloped roof and that has the tiling patterns on it, and that's what kind of they imagine. That's their idea because they look at it in storybooks, they look at it in their videos and whatnot. So they imagine that is kind of their building block in their mind. This is a house. This is kind of what makes me feel comfortable. And I kind of wanted to imagine that. And when we look at a storybook, right, when we look at the beautiful villages and the houses, they kind of look similar in all the ways. But in Indian context, I didn't want to make a European village over there, right? So I really kind of took elements from vernacular architecture and used them in a kind of a modern architecture context. And also, it's very efficient, right? A lot of those things are very efficient. When you look at laterite brick, it's used in Kerala. it's so good in thermal insulation. It keeps the building cool, and it's so easy to mold. So these are very good materials to use too. So these are two reasons why I kind of thought of using vernacular architecture in the project. Elements of vernacular architecture.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Are you in second year right now?
Yeah, I'm in second year. I'm in my fourth sem, right?
Okay. I don't have any question to you. Thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you. Anybody
Thank
else
you.
have any questions?
The others are not supposed to ask you questions, so we'll ask you on the side later. So all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you,
Well
ma'am.
done. Siddhi,
Can
the
we
second
move-
presenter.
Yeah, can we, the next presenter we have is 63 ETH 11. So basically 11.
Yeah, great. Is the person here? 11?
Yeah, he's here.
Hello,
There
am
you
I
are.
audible?
Yeah.
Shall I start
Stage
presenting?
is yours. Yes, share screens and get started. Yes, all the best.
Thank you. As an architecture, in my daily routine, I often came across one particular question that why am I in such a different discipline than the rest? Well, I guess it's always been natural for me to gravitate myself towards such visual interests and to perceive the world through that frame in which people are not aware of naturally. A very good morning to all the respected jurors and members. I am present over here to give you a glimpse about various works done by me in my first year architecture college. Here comes one of the most important subjects of the first year, which is the architecture design studio. And the very first designing exercise which was done by me was designing an artist commune of 30 units. The brief involved us to design a housing unit within a space of 5 meter by 7 meter, which should be anthropometrically functional. The site given to us was in Dang district, which is in the southern part of Gujarat. And this is the proposed site. We were allowed to use any three geometrical shapes and intersect them to carve out well-defined spaces. To derive the final form, I used one pentagonal, hexagonal, and a trapezoidal prism because all of them have some kind of angularity in their shapes. And this was the final intersection which I came up. And in this, all the three volumes were divided as per the space requirements, like living room, bedroom, and workspace. Then, at last, openings like doors and windows were carved out into the spaces. These two sections represent the thought process behind the final unit. As the unit was being designed for an artist, I wanted that its overall look should be creative one. Hence, my main aim was to transform this simple rectangular section to a more interesting and fascinating one. This is the whole entire view of the unit, in which this is the ground floor, in which we can see the bed space and the toilet space is provided on the same ground floor level. And the kitchen and the pantry space was provided at 3-step down level to create level difference within the unit. Coming up to the first floor is just a working space for the artist and a skylight through which light can penetrate. This section clearly shows the level difference within the unit and how the internal spaces are working. Like the kitchen can have direct sunlight and ventilation through the skylight. And these are just the sketches which depict the workspace and the kitchen area along with the furniture placement like the cupboard, working desk, kitchen platform, fridge, etc. This is the working desk specially designed for an artist with a glass on top and a softboard for him to work. And this one is the sleeping area with a bunk bed. And the last sketch depicts the staircase passage which is present on the first floor. Now, undeniably, anthropometry plays a vital role in any design. Hence, the following are the key dimensions for various activities which take place within the unit, like the height of the working table, study table, kitchen platform, etc. A design should function climatically and it should be responsive towards the climate. Therefore, various approaches were done for it, like the bay windows were provided on the above the pantry area, which can compress the hot air and convert it into the cooler one. A skylight was provided to penetrate sunlight into the unit. The windows on the northern side could help for the ventilation and to ventilate the air through the pergolas, which was present above. Now, in the overall section, we can see that the flooring levels design creates barrier-free movement of breeze, allowing cross ventilation throughout the inside walls, due to which the internal ecosystem remains cool. Now, for preparing the master layout of 30 units, I firstly placed 2 units close to each other and then mirrored them. Replication of these 2 units was done in such a way that in the whole cluster, in between green spaces and shared common spaces are created. In this way, the clusters and the public open spaces were added onto the site. And this one is the final site layout in which all the public garden spaces are set facing towards the river, providing a serene view to the residents. The next subject is the basic design studio, in which the brief required us to select any man-made object, which at the end, through a series of processes, would be transformed into a well-defined architectural space. So I selected a circular container. Now at stage 2, manual sketches of it were made to understand the object's material properties and to visualize its volume in a 2D plane. Then we were asked to apply any kind of external pressure. So I exerted a torsional force to it. At the next stage, cutouts were introduced into the object, which led to wear and tear of the distorted object, upon which the architectural space was to be visualized. At the fifth stage, various options of the architectural space were to be explored and down. Like I tried various options like auto expo showroom, oceanarium, aquarium, etc. Finally, at the end, the architectural space which I thought of was a railway skybound with key features like a skylight and a viewing gallery. Now, for the last stage, a physical model was made, and the object with human scale and activities could serve as a skywalk at various transportation hubs. The exercise ended up capturing good photographs of the final model to enhance the photography skills. Now, the next subject is the building material and construction technology, in which we had to study a building with good architectural and decorative elements. Rajabai Tower, designed by British architect Sir Gilbert Scott in the neo-Gothic style, is undoubtedly an example of exquisite beauty. It has been designed with bilateral symmetry, and the main materials used in its construction is buff-colored Kerala stone. It contains verandas, arcades, louvered windows that filter direct lighting into secondary spaces. The multifarious decorative elements found on the buildings are gargoyles with intricate carvings, then round windows with stained glass, different types of trefoil arches. It also has a clock tower standing at a height of 280 feet above the ground level. The two-sided spiral staircase leads up to a well-adorned arcade with multiple arches and balustering details. The rose windows, trefoil arches, and capitals showing the heads of the literary figures on the university library are best of its kind. In the same subject, we had a second exercise in which we had to study any kind of door or window which is present in our college campus itself. And I studied a casement window, which was placed within a flat arch exposed brick structure. It was made up of thick wood and attached to its frame by steel hinges from both the sides. The window shutter was made up of thick wood with a dimension of 100 by 75 millimeters. The inner wooden frame of the shutter was 50 by 35 millimeters, which holds the clear transparent glass with a fixture of beading putty. The section shows the joinery details of the shutter. The wooden shutter was attached to the frame with the help of butt hinge, and in total, there are 4 rectangular glasses fixed to one shutter. And mortise and tenon joint was used to fix individual wooden members of the frame, and then adhesive was used to strengthen these joints. Now let's talk about the subject history of culture. In this subject, I tried to learn and analyze Greece through brief understanding of the architecture of Parthenon. It is a temple that dominates the Acropolis, the hills of the Acropolis. Set on a higher plane in the context of the city of Rome, it explains the ideology and belief systems of the people regarding the sacred deities. According to this belief system, its architecture was influenced. It is dedicated to the goddess Athena, and the word Parthenon itself refers to the room where the virgin goddess Athena was placed. The structure is a peripteral Doric temple with Ionic architectural features. It can be seen from the plan that it is an octa-style temple with 8 columns and on one side and 17 on the other. And in total, there are 46 outer columns. Similarly, from the sections and elevations, an intangible inference could be drawn and related with the golden ratio. These are the various architectural features found in the Parthenon, like Doric ordered columns, decorative pediments with depiction of birth of Lord Athena onto it, and Ionic frieze, which contains 92 metopes. misleading. I'm an architecture student with a handy sketchbook and camera because sketchbook for me acts as an everyday canvas for creative growth and camera helps me to capture every moment I can. Following are some of the manual sketches which I've done, in which the last one was the live sketching done while sitting in front of the heritage place Chapaner, which is the place is the Jami Masjid, which is in Chapaner. And these are the digital sketches and renderings which I tried to do, like digital portraits and illustration of famous structure, cathedral of Basilica. Then I tried to do object drawing digitally. Photography might look some random shots to someone else, but for me, it's an art, inventing genres every day. Following are some of the categories of photography which I try to capture, like landscape photography, macro, architectural, minimalistic, and heritage, with some sort of kind of thought, feel, or meaning behind clicking each one of them. I'm here trying to solve the puzzle of architecture because maybe it will enable me to combine the strongest aspects of my life, solve practical problems, and to work with different kinds of people. Summing up here with my beautiful journey of the first year, I am very excited for my next future year in architecture. Thank you.
Thank you, 11, for that presentation.
Bang on time. So over to the jury members for Q&A.
I don't have any question and well presented. Thank you.
Great presentation. Can you go back to your slide, which is the artist's house?
Yes. Yes. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible. The ground floor plan is cut at 0 level or a little higher.
0.9 meter.
So as I can see from your section, your walls are sloping, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So would you see the same thing if it were cut at the ground or cut at 900? There would be some difference, right?
Some difference will be there because there will be variation in the height difference. Due to which as we go up, the plan will be more broader.
Your plan doesn't reflect that. And considering your section, your first floor and ground floor can't be identical, I think, like you've shown them currently. In footprint, at least.
You got that, 11?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Actually, in this section, the painter and the kitchen are at lower steps, and the floor was cutted from the just 2-3 steps above the staircase, like due to which like it was created in such a way.
I'm just saying this, keep this in mind. I mean, it's a little comment for future.
Yes,
Yeah, I think it's a point made that your plans, I mean, the whole fact that you have this varying section through, it'll be nice for you to explore plans also, at this stage in life on how these plans change because of the sections, so that you'll be dealing with a lot more complex stuff later.
You've given a flat roof. Have you given access to that flat roof?
No, there's the flat roof. Yeah, the access to the flat roof depicts the workspace for him, and the access to it is from the staircase which is present here over here. Like in the section, it is in this side.
No, I'm not talking about the upper level where he's working, not the artist studio. I'm talking about the terrace.
No, there's no terrace. No, there is no entry to the terrace on the top. In this side now.
So consider about the outdoor spaces of buildings that you build also. So in the sense that you've given a skylight and an incline on one side of your section. So if you have a flat roof, then find ways to use it. Or if it's facing a certain climatic orientation, then don't make it flat, make it inclined and put solar panels on it. Make it useful. I mean, consider every aspect of your project. I know, I mean, this is just I mean, you're in second year right now. correct?
Yes, 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 yes.
So this project shows a lot of maturity for a first year student entry. And within that, then these are a few points that I just wanted to highlight to you so that your projects and your thinking can get even better. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, jury panel. With your permission, should we move to the third participant?
Yes.
All right. So 105 is the next. Are you ready, 105?
Yes, ma'am. I'll share my screen.
Yes, please go ahead. So keep 10 minutes in mind and all the best.
Is it visible full screen?
It's visible. You should go on the slideshow mode.
Visible now?
No, just stop sharing and share once again and then go to the slide mode.
So sorry. Share.
No, we can see it. You can go ahead. We could see it previously also. I think it was
Yeah,
the
now it's
security
good.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
We're often told to think outside the box, but what if the box doesn't exist? Good morning, respected jury. Today, I'll be presenting my portfolio for the first year where I've tried to experiment with the same. The 5 topics that I'll be covering are spatial exploration, visitor center, measured drawing, building construction, and visual arts. This first project helped me explore space on my own terms and break out of the idea that a space is defined only when surrounded by 4 walls. This was all about creating my space. So the first thing that I did was to create a model which represented my personality. So as we can see here, the model, it branches out in all directions, but maintains a central axis. So the space is defined, but not confined, which is exactly how I like to define myself. The next step was to take these core characteristics and represent them and create a volume out of them using planes, which is done here. And finally, give spatial quality to the same volume, So the planes were modified. So some planes were made into origami roofs, the others were into tessellation. Linear elements were added, and then transparent frames were added. And finally, we defined a movement path, which was a varied set of exploration. So there is a ladder, there are staircases, there are ramps, and even a fireman's pole. This is the transition from the planar model to the spatial model. From this, we had to take one space, which I could call my space, and then detail it out. So I chose this one, as it had the privilege of knowing what was around, but at the same time, the comforts of isolation surrounded by my books. So in this space, this also has a very detailed wall, which is done using erasers as bricks, and then sawdust mixed with Fevicol was used as mortar to create this wall. This project helped me discover who I am as a designer and an architect, to go from who I am to what I like, and help immensely in my drafting skills and modeling skills. The next project was a visitor center, which was located at the entrance of the Jaisalmer Fort in Rajasthan. So I was inspired by the desert melas of Rajasthan, and in terms of the planning and layout, so how the spaces had a fluidic transition. So I also wanted to explore forms and materials, so while respecting the heritage that it's at in. So most of the build structure is made using the local sandstone, but the public spaces like this artist space, the plaza, and the exhibition area, it has a tensile construction. So it stands out against the compressive construction done in the fort. And this section here kind of highlights the same. Moving on, I've detailed out 2 areas, which is the exhibition and the cafe. The plan in the section, it was rendered on Photoshop, and it kind of shows what the space looks like. And the section also highlights the different styles of construction, as I mentioned earlier. Moving from the first project where I learned about spatial exploration, I wanted to use that to create spatial experiences. So in the first area, which is the admin block, there's a very defined pathway where the user know exactly where they have to go, since it's the administration and the ticketing area. But when we come to the exhibition space, it's very open-ended. So it allows the user to explore it on their own terms and go where they like. Then when it comes to the cafe, at the entrance of the cafe is a lovely musician space. As the local artists, they sit there and play music. So it creates an ambience for the cafeteria. While at the back of the cafe, it's surrounded by fort walls. It's an open seating, but it also provides a very private space without much disturbance. So all of this creates experience depending on what the user wants. This project helped me explore a lot, which is the thing I love about it the most, and also shift a little more to the digital medium and explore a variety of softwares as well. The third project was a measure drawing, which was done at the Royal Cenotaphs at Bada Bagh, Jaisalmer. This is the elevation of the Chhatris. While the first and the second project, helped me explore, this one helped me understand and learn about the culture and the beliefs and how they represented their beliefs in a physical format. So as we can see here, there are floral carvings of wine bottles and peacocks. All of this depicts a connection to life even after death. So the symbolism is something that I really took in, and I understood the privilege that I had to live in a country where I was surrounded by so much heritage to get inspired by. So this is one of my favorite projects that I've done. All the details were also rendered using watercolors. So it was a great learning experience. The fourth topic is building construction. In the first year, we mostly covered brick work, and it helped me refine and actually learn a lot about my drafting skills. But at the same time, the thing that I loved the most was to bring it in real life. So after we learned about arches and how to construct arches using brick, we did the drawings, but I like to go back to the first project that I showed, where I made a model using the same construction technique that I learned. So I was able here, as you can see here. So I was able to, learn it in real life, which is the part that I love the most. And finally, I'm coming to visual arts. This subject helped me explore my creative side and helped me explore and learn and put it all into my design as well. So a variety of mediums and materials were used. So the first one is a sketch of a balcony view. It was rendered using charcoal and it had to be realistic. The second one here, it is a cloud watch. So we were told to combine two random words that we could think of and quickly design that product. So mine was cloud watch, and I had to think quickly on my feet and use what is available around me to create that product within 5 minutes. So I believe that ability is something that is very essential to us to me as an upcoming architect, to think quickly on my feet. The third project is a render which was done live using pen and ink at the India Habitat Center. Moving on, another medium that I explored was watercolors, and I discovered my love for it after I did this project, which was a quick render done directly using watercolor at the Purana Killa. And after I discovered my love for it, came the measure drawing project, where all the details and everything was rendered using watercolors. So it helped. This subject not only is linked to the artistic, but I've also tried to incorporate the things that I've learned there in my design as well. It was not only limited to a 2D object, we also created 3-dimensional sculpture. So this project that you see here, it is a sculpture that was created using thermocol molds. So I made thermocol mold in negative and then poured POP in, set it. After it was set, smoothened it out using sandpaper, chiseled it, did everything and made the final product after painting it. So it was not only just 2-dimensional, we could create something with our own hands, which I love, absolutely loved. And finally, the last project that I like to show, it's a monochrome self-portrait. We had to make a self-portrait, but I not only wanted to create what I could see visually, but also how I was feeling mentally, since this was done at the beginning of the pandemic, where we were surrounded by all the doom and destruction. And I kind of wanted to reflect on what I was feeling while making a self-portrait. So I was able to do that using watercolor as well. So this subject is my favorite, and it helped me express myself artistically, not just through the subject, but in every subject that I've done. That is all I have. Thank you so much for your time.
Well on time, over to the jury members for questions.
Spellbound.
I really very well done, well presented, and what I really appreciate is the connectedness between the various things, whether the formal design or the sightseeing and the other things, and that I really appreciate. I don't have a question. I wanted to just say about that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Great watercolor skills. I love the cenotaph drawings. Very well done. Continue working with your watercolor skills. It's going to take you places.
Thank you so much, sir.
Coming from an artist, that. Thank you.
All right, so I think we'll move on to the last presentation from first year, that is number 43, code number 43. Is code 43 ready here? I request the host Siddhi to make 43 co-hosts as well, so that he or she can share their presentation.
Yeah, he's made the co-host.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are, but we don't see you. Yes, we can see you now.
Is my screen visible? Hello?
It's visible, but it's white right now, if that's... Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. So while getting into architecture, it was completely new and life-changing experience for me. There were a lot of many things which I have learned in architecture and which helped me to develop my skills and ideas, which helped me to realize architecture is more than what I think and what I realize. So now here is how my journey began in architecture. So to begin with, my first project. So it was like we as a class were asked to create to abstract out of a picture. So we are supposed to select a picture and create an abstract out of it. At the beginning, it was quite confusing, but later on, when I get myself into it, it helped me to improvise on my painting skills as well as a composition skills, and it helped me to use more of my. It helped me in my. It helped me to understand abstract more betterly. So moving towards the next exercise, in this exercise we were given a certain set of 2D objects, and we were asked to create different kinds of 2D composition. And as we go forward, the 2D composition went and evolved into a color 2D composition. And then further, we were asked to create a 3D composition out of it by elevating some parts in a 3D in a 2D composition. So this helped me to visualize and develop on my form making exercise. And then further, while thinking about this project, thinking about and visualizing about this, so I thought, why not go deep below the ground and create a form which has its own depth, which will be a nice and a new idea to be implemented. So the next exercise was of creating a space making exercise from a basic element like line, dots, and curve. And in this exercise, we had made various different kinds of composition of 2D composition of line, dots, and curve. And we also as I tried various combinations with this, making trial and errors and finalize my 2D composition. Then further, I was asked to make a 3D composition out of this 2D composition. So the exercise of making 2D into 3D was quite challenging, but I enjoyed it. So it was more of making a space making exercise. So after adding walls to the curves, we were asked to make levels in it. Because of the levels, it makes the space more interesting for a user to feel and experience. Then further, we created openings inside the spaces, which acts as a which will help to depict a journey through the space, and which will make a space more interesting and have a journey through it. And further adding a roofing element, which will which will which will help a person which separates the dark zone and light zone inside the space, and makes the space more interesting to go through, and will evoke a feel inside a user. Moving forward, this was a new exercise called as transitive spaces. So in this space, we were given these two ends and were asked to design a 30-meter space in between with the help of a space making exercise. And we were asked to make a transition flow, means that there should be a transition between one end to another end. So moving further, I divided the 30-meter space into 3 parts, and then and then I'm and then there was a slow, steady transition from one end to another. So this space helped, this space making exercise helped me to develop on my form and interior spaces access, and it also helped me to realize that architecture is more than what space making. It's more than building a structure. It's more of space making and how the sphere of user is. Then coming towards the next project, the project was in the manner of. So in this project, we were supposed to create a residential bungalow on the basis of client requirement and the principle of architect which all added. So my architect was Sir Laurie Baker. So his principle was to use a locally available material and create a climate responsive and beautiful low cost housing which are very high quality. So meanwhile, in this project, I studied about Laurie Baker and his process and principles, and developed my own process and made my own process and go forward with that. And then further, using and classifying the spaces and making them using the spaces and using the space and allotting the specific function for catering to user group and their requirements. Then coming towards the architecture. Architecture it comes from its roots. So history is a root of an architecture. So while getting into architecture, I just knew not much but a basic information about the structures. But while getting into architecture, it was like a whole lot to learn, and it was more on form making. So we did various. So I did various case studies and projects and various forms, and I went further and made this model so that I can understand the details of these spaces and various forms and activities. So this subject taught us that how the civilization changes and how there is a specific reason for the particular structure, and why civilization helped why a civilization has to create and something to depict their power and their needs. So building construction. So talking about the building construction as a subject. So it is a subject of implementation which was beginning in first year, and which helped me to observe the things more clearly and made my vision towards vision more which made my vision more focused on the construction technique. So whenever I go around and look something, so I became more observant because of this structure and because of this subject, and it helped me to visualize and design structure as well. So building construction is more based on the implementation. So and some of the techniques which were taught in building construction, I have used that same techniques in my architecture design projects of in the manner of. And then in building construction, we were asked to document an arch on site, and were asked to make a drawings out of it. So it was like a fun learn experience, and we learned many things from that. So model making. So before getting into architecture, model making was something I used to do for my fun exercise. But when model making was newly introduced in architecture in my first year, so it upscaled the skill workmanship of my work, and I learned many things like using making model in proportion, use of human scale, and it also helped me in my design to visualize the spaces which I create and design, and with my design, and to create spaces and design into the form of model. Then sketching is one of my favorite hobbies, which I used to do, which I develop in on time. Passing through time. So whenever I get a free time, I usually spend my time using in sketching, and most of the time I try to use different kinds of medium and try to experiment with the medium so that I can master it, and make it look like more better. And I like to sketch more kind of more subjects like human subjects as well as views, and I do also live sketch. So that this pretty much ends up with my architecture journey of first year, and which made me realize that architecture is not just limited to building construction. It is more than what I know. That's. Thank you, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And over to the jury members for any questions.
Well done, 43.
Thank you.
Ankon, do you have anything to say?
Great sketches. Which city are you in?
I'm from.
You're not supposed to ask.
Sorry?
Actually, I stay in Moscow.
Anonymous. So you're asking for hints. Which college are they from?
No, I'm not asking about the college. I'm just asking where are you studying? And which city is it?
I'm studying from Mumbai.
So you should get in touch with Urban Sketchers Mumbai.
Of your city.
Look them up on Instagram. And become a part of the group, because every Sunday they move out and sketch in the city. Your drawings and your sketches have the potential to, and the group will fuel your creativity more, because they help you to see things in interesting ways. It will really help you build your skill up. Best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Even the Pune chapter of Urban Sketchers is doing some fabulous work.
Yeah.
Didi?
No, I don't have any question. I like the sketches and other thing. Good. And I appreciate the first project, really. I mean, at first year level, that much of maturity. And with the model and interior, it's really very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, 43. So with that, we've seen all the... Hello? Sorry. Yeah. So with that, we've seen all the 4 finalist presentations from first year, and we'll be now moving on to 5th year presentations. And the first code to present from 5th year is number 76.
Nikita, are we taking a break?
Do we need a break? I'll ask the jury members that.
Yeah.
Do we need a 5-minute break, Ankon and Sanghamitra Di?
I'm okay.
I'm also.
But if ma'am wants a break, I'm okay.
No, I'm
we
okay.
can carry on, I think. Yeah, we can carry on because, yeah. And I think the first years who are present here, who've just presented, you will see where you'll have to get at the end of your journey by seeing the final year presentations here. So I think it will be quite a learning for you.
It will be a good inspiration.
So, all right. So then we'll move to the first presentation from 5th year. That's number 76. Siddhi, can you please make the person go?
Yeah, made.
Thank you. Number 76, stage is all yours.
Hello?
Yes, Siddhi.
No, is he audible or?
Okay, 76, you have to unmute yourself.
He has 2 accounts on, so.
You need to unmute. I see that you're on mute, 76.
No, there is the second one, he's unmuted. He or she's 76 is unmuted. Yeah. They have signed up through 2 devices and one of them.
I see a video on Can you try to say something? 76?
There's a problem with the mic, obviously.
We cannot hear you.
Do you want to connect through audio from the second device you logged in? Nikita, probably you can go ahead with the next one. I'll call and ask what's the problem.
Okay. So is number 52 ready here? Siddhi, before you go, please make 52 the co-host.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So to the jury members, please note we're moving on to number 52 on for fifth year. We'll be connecting with 76 on the side and try to resolve the connectivity issues. So 52, try and share your screen, please.
Yes. Can you all see my screen now?
It's loading. Yes, we can. Yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
Okay.
10 minutes,
Good morning.
right?
Yeah, cool. Good morning, everyone. Today, I'll be sharing my design dissertation from fifth year, and I choose to call it The Encounter. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay. So I choose to call it The Encounter due to the incident which got me to choose this topic as my design dissertation. It all started when I visited a police station in the hope of retrieving in the hope of filing a complaint. And as a result, it was definitely the dingy atmosphere around which kind of got my attention to the entire consider it as a topic. But more importantly, it was this one incident that happened at that point which threw light on the kind of service that the police do for us, and it was a revelation for me to kind of changed my perspective on the way I ever looked at the police. And it put light on how they selflessly work in the background of the city, most often without us even realizing. And it happens 24/7, 365 days of the year in the form of patrolling, managing festivals during calamities, most unsafe times. They are the ones who are out there on the field doing their duty. Moving on, this kind of leads to put light on how there is a lot of work-related stress that they experience, which cannot be ignored, and which has a direct impact on both their physical and mental state of mind. And as a result, the entire workspace that they work from, where they tend to spend most amount of their time, too does not kind of compensate to kind of work out with these stresses. And it's said that thoughtful design has the power to make a person or make people feel respected and seen, and that clearly doesn't work out in the case of the existing scenario of the police station. The police station also ends up becoming like the intermediate between the people and the police. It becomes our go-to place during any type of negative happenings. It kind of absorbs the negativities and kind of radiates out positivities in the form of hope, safety, and security. And in the process, the entire environment around the police station hence ends up having this kind of critical vibe, a very serious, tense silence that kind of automatically comes in because of the kind of the stern atmosphere. And as a result, for a person entering the police station, the entire experience can be really intimidating and daunting. Even the aspects of the convict zones and the public zones not being segregated, the aspect of it being completely opaque, the police station cut off from the outside, can make a person psychologically feel highly unsafe to kind of go alone to a police station. The site chosen by me for the same was DN Nagar police station. for the core reason that the entire police station works from the existing framework of a residential building, from the ground floor of a residential police quarters building. So what you can see over there is a lot of compromise in the kind of spaces that are there, which are otherwise required in the police station. So you have these kind of, you have the admin room, the convicts room having no windows whatsoever. And that's something that really needs to get catered to. So the main intent of the proposal became to meet the needs of the two key users, the people and the police, to kind of have a better work output and work experience for the police, and at the same time to kind of have a better people and police rapport by, you know, removing the kind of fear that people have associated with the police. All in all, to come down to kind of have better policing at large and hence a safer community. At this point, the thesis poses a very critical question as to what is a safe community and how can it be, you know, achieved. The existing scenario of policing in India is based on what we've inherited from the British, where we kind of tend to solve the crime once it's committed. What the thesis poses here tries to look at is, can crime be eradicated right as its grassroots, rather than, you know, having to let it be done and then, you know, intervening. And the grassroots cause of any kind of crime comes down to be the lack of education and the lack of means of livelihood. And the thesis looks at how a police station could be the means to kind of help target this aspect of society, this drawbacks in society, to kind of fight it. And the police station could be the means to kind of be a part of this kind of, this kind of community development. So the key intervention that the design sees is the introduction of a public realm, which would help in 4 ways. One is the police mental health. Secondly, to kind of remove the existing, you know, atmosphere, the stern atmosphere that exists around police station. Thirdly, to be a vibrant cityscape, because in the end, a police station is nothing but a civic amenity and amenity for the people. So providing back for the people a space, you know, where they can come and feel protected in every sense by coming to a police station. And all in all, strengthening the police and people rapport. The entire public realm was further emphasized by lifting the police station up on stilts. The axis of the police station was then tilted to kind of have a greater psychological buffer from the upcoming metro that was happening in the context of the site. The public functions were fit in, and the existing depression on site was taken advantage of by fitting in the functions and adding levels. The entire public realm has a number of interventions in the form of the outdoor gymnasium, which again questions the entire existing practice of, you know, having indoor gyms in police stations, which are usually never maintained or don't even exist due to the lack of funds. And with that outdoor gymnasium, the advantage becomes of having, you know, almost zero running costs and even installation costs. The chai tapri, which becomes like the lifeline of, you know, all police persons, is added, where, you know, it was found very often that most work-related discussions informally took place over here. You have informal seatings, meditation spaces, and yoga spaces provisioned. Spaces for, again, to kind of attack the kind of existing taboo that exists in the society against police being corrupt and all, and being, you know, the trust equation, which is kind of hampered. So attacking the grassroots, the young tender minds, to kind of, you know, refurbish the entire existing mindset that the community has at large, you know, about the police. Again, the metro has been provisioned as a plaza to kind of give back to the society, give back to the community. And you have the entire aspect of, you know, flag hoisting ceremonies that could be provisioned here. So it existingly does happen with the police force alone, but now the community could be a part of it too. The entire build form has a number of interventions in the form of the multi-purpose still spaces. The journey is curated according to the experience. The porous facades and the light atrium are key interventions in the build form. The circulation also has been zoned out, where the police circulation and the public circulation doesn't cross path and kind of, you know, hamper one another. With respect to the multi-purpose still spaces, I think this is personally the sensitive spot for me in the design, where I actually see a positive change radiating, where this could be a space where the community get an identity in the police station. There could be community meetings happening where the people of the community come meet here and discuss issues about the community with the police. You have possibilities of having, you know, job finding portals, schooling for the homeless, organization of, you know, press conferences and, you know, other public service drives, etc., that could take place. Night schools could also be provisioned, where, you know, you activate the police station at night, and hence the entire aspect of visiting a police station at night, which could otherwise be scary, could also be, like tackled by having more activities happening even at night time. And all in all, it could become a source of positivity at large. The police station now becomes a means to kind of achieve, cultural well-being, higher literacy rates, economic upliftment, and even a healthier life. The entire journey was designed keeping in mind the mindset that people come with. Most often they are victims, so they have a lot of mental baggage. So it was imagined as a walk in a garden, entering a garden and feeling to cut off from the outside, what is happening outside. Further moving in, you have the entire form developed, where the entire vertical zoning is done of all the functions present. The entire existing mass is broken up with the break coming in. The technical service codes are fit in, and this entire zone which happens at the front becomes a very sensitive spot where it kind of breaks the mass, and how this space becomes a space where the structure is protecting. It becomes like a space where the structure protects this kind of sensitive zone, and it kind of is symbolic how the people entering can actually feel protected. The entire flow-wise zoning of this space happens in a manner where you have the public levels, you have the work levels in the form of the crime level and the admin level, and you have the rest level in the form of the post-duty hours workstation and the barracks level. The light ATM kind of stitches the entire structure together and not only brings in diffused light, but also helps in visually and even acoustically connecting the entire station. So now a person can actually comprehend the depth of the police station, which otherwise never happened. So it can make the entire experience of coming in a police station be less scary, because now they know what is there beyond them. They can comprehend and still feel connected to the entire, the public realm of the police station. Again, the aspect of police-related violence can be tackled by having this kind of, transparency now existing within the structure. With respect to the public levels, the key interventions made were in the form of, the kid-friendly zone and the women's station, apart from which the senior inspectors were given a visual hierarchy. A double height was given for it to kind of make the entire experience for it more welcoming and dissipate the entire crowd that would eventually, the kind of, the volume would dissipate the entire crowd that would probably be coming in because it's a public level. The kid-friendly zone is again designed to kind of make a kid feel comfortable within a police station. It's connected to the outside with, 3 sides open. To have maximum connect with the outside, it would help overcome the kind of legal difficulties that would exist in taking children to the police station to talk. The entire working out of this trust was done where the members of a standard girder were tweaked according to the entire facade, according to the entire form, and the repelling forces were then counteracted with steel cables. These are a few other details of how the deck slab and the girder kind of attaches to the main structure. With respect to the salient features of the work levels and the rest levels, the juvenile detention cell was imagined as a library, again, targeting the aspect of crime eradication over crime solving, and the fact that they are juveniles, it's still tender age. Other functions were technically fit in depending upon the requirement of the individual police functioning. The briefing rooms have been provided to kind of accommodate the entire force for to discuss. Rest spaces again were imagined to de-stress the police force post the duty hours, more like their adda. Moving forward, the entire porous facade was again designed in a manner where it doesn't become haphazard and repetitive and monotonous. So there was this kind of haphazard pattern followed for the same. The detailing of it was worked out where you have flower beds, louvers, glass panels, and all coming and juxtaposing randomly on the entire front facade. With respect to the entire material palette chosen, it is derived from the khaki clothed attire that they have, which kind of reflects a very indigenous and indigenous force, grounded force. So the material palette used for the same was a terracotta plaster, which was contrasted with white, which should stand for purity. And it gives the entire look of the police station a form of dignity, something that a police person would want to own up to and feel proud of. Again, being a public service institute, firefighting was a very important aspect of it, and that was provisioned in place. Sustainability in the form of rainwater harvesting and solar panels was done with respect to a few calculations which were done depending upon the water requirement and the electricity requirement. The
Sorry
entire
to
structure. Sorry.
Yeah, you are already done with your 10 minutes. You need to brush up.
Okay, I'll just finish it up.
Yeah.
The entire structural palette was that of a composite structure with steel and RCC. Steel again chosen for the kind of chic look it has. There's a few few details of the entire diagonal wall and how it has been worked out using reinforced masonry. And finally, in conclusion, I'd like to say is that what my thesis looked at large is not only catering to the users which pertain to the police station, but trying to have an impact at large at the community level. And that is something which I felt was very rewarding because it felt like there was an impact being made. There was something which felt like a positive transition. And I think architecture did have the potential which I had never really tried out or done on my own knowledge. This project gave me a chance to kind of experience that aspect of architecture where its added potential of creating an impact at a much larger scale could be seen. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, 52, and over to the jury members for any questions that you might have.
Hi, very sensitively chosen topic. Congratulations. I wanted to ask you for your primary research. How did you go about? Did you seek out interviews with some police admin people?
Yeah, so the entire initial phase went about visiting police stations, and again the choice of police station was very varied. I visited the historic police stations in South Bombay, transitioning upwards, and then it involved a lot of interviews and back and forth. I did have a few contacts tool where I could approach the police persons directly over call, and so it was helpful in a way. So even after the entire proposal was done, I managed to create like a Google form and put the salient features of the entire proposal in, and I sent it out to like the contact I had. So then I got a little feedback about what they felt, and I think it was good. I feel like I felt connected with them to some extent where there was a partial community participation, not like at a very last stage obviously, but to some extent, yeah.
Speak of college and maybe at some higher level, if they can connect you to decision making people in the police system, get your ideas out to people who can actually make change, and probably some of your ideas are good. They can look to actually do some kind of reform in the spaces which policemen actually inhabit.
Yes, definitely.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So well done. Congratulations. I really like the way you started and the genesis of your and concern for the society and the role of police, the way you have taken care of that, the learning space for kids and other thing. We often forget that police also do that. I have seen that some places they take up that responsibility. So it's very well done. And the initial sketches, the cartoons and all this thing is done by you?
Yes.
Okay, good, very good. Only one police station, yes, but also it's a place for safety and security. So the form what you have created, I think very consciously, is of a very playfulness. Ultimately, we get that playfulness, a very cheerful character. But what about the security and safety? Because a lot of that is also required. They are often also under attack, and also the criminals come there. So there is a problem there. And also because the people come there, as you rightly pointed out, it's an in between thing. That what about the wayfinding? Won't there be a little bit of chaos, like which places they go and which places people can go and which places they can't go? So that type of movement restriction or freedom and the wayfinding, have you taken care of that? I couldn't get that. So these are the two concerns I have, and that it's too playful. So also it should, and in my mind, it should also give a sense of security and safety to the people. That's why. So if you have any comment, you can share that.
I get what you're saying, but I think when I was approaching the entire topic, I had a slight different mindset where I did struggle with these questions at start, and it was very restrictive. I was not coming out of my bubble. It was being the same thing that was existing, the proposals that were coming, and it kind of got me to question where, is it really with respect to the security, is security really important at this level of a police force? Because the convicts that would be kept there wouldn't be for more than a day or two, depending upon the kind of bail statement and all that works out. And with respect to the threats, there is an entire possibility of cordoning of the entire structure at large. In that case, the entire multi-purpose still space becomes a space that is public now. And for security reasons, the entire part above it can become private. That is at times of, say, where there's a threat for that. But with respect to the entire security aspect, it was logically questioned as, is there a real potential of this entire police station being bombed at first? So that was one because there were no criminals that would be a threat to the police station at large. And with respect to the entire playfulness, I think that's something I personally chose to go with, to not have a police station which kind of feels intimidating and daunting. So that's where it came from, but that was my take on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Try and go back to number 76 who couldn't present because of network issues. I think she's back now. So just a note to the jury members that we'll be going ahead with 76 now. Probably. Number 76, let's try your screen share now.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there some kind of disturbance from your end?
Yeah, ma'am, that was the network issues actually.
Yeah.
Not in the town.
Yeah. You can start presenting.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, but you're not sharing your PowerPoint. Another window is open. Your YouTube is open.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, go full screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Stick to the timeline.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. So my topic is Moksha Yatra, a journey towards salvation. The topic, go to the site. The site is in Varanasi, also known as Banaras or Kashi. As rightly quoted above, Banaras is older than history, older than tradition, older even than the legend, and looks twice as old as all of them put together, as rightly marked. This Moksha Yatra is the topic. I briefly explained the topic, the Moksha Yatra, journey towards salvation. The literal meaning of this thesis is the journey of a person in expecting moksha, that is salvation, referring to the site Manikarnika Ghat located in Banaras or Kashi. Banaras or Kashi is also known as Moksha Nagari. Varanasi is considered as sacred and most anciently continuously living city in the world. There are many mythologies and histories associated with it. Varanasi is also famous for its temples and ghats, and as it is seen here, activities on the ghats, there are approx 84 ghats and there are variations in activities. So a very unique combination of life and death is actually seen between two ghats that is mentioned here, the Shashwamedh Ghat and Manikarnika Ghat. It is said that if the life hasn't started, it starts from the Dashashwamedh Ghat and it ends at Manikarnika Ghat. Paradoxically, it's the only city on earth which is famous for death and salvation. It is considered that people who die in Kashi or cremated at Manikarnika Ghat attains moksha. That's why it's called as Moksha Nagari. During my visit, I noticed that the city blends beautifully with its funeral imagery, but since it is considered so sacred yet lack in proper management, I've seen the bodies heaped on the banks of Ganga, felt the heat of the funeral fire, heard the corpses crackling in the fire, and smelled the burnt flesh from the ground. This process unfolded before me the rawness, the complexity, and the completeness. As it's seen in the visual pictures, you can exactly see the existing scenario at the Manikarnika Ghat. During the floods, there is scarcity of land, and most of the ghat area is actually submerged into the water. So therefore, people usually used to burn the bodies on the terrace of a building. And if there is no scarcity of space there, also people usually dip the body into the Ganga, and the whole ecosystem of the Ganga is ruined. At Manikarnika Ghat, 24/7, 365 days, the bodies are burnt, and you can here see the visual aspects, since there is a lack of space for bodies to be kept. They are kept haywire anywhere on the ghats. The below graph shows us that the flooding during the floods. What is the scenario during the drought, normal, and flood scenarios? The flood water rises up to 73.9 meters. The whole ghat is submerged into it. Okay. This sheet explains the vicinity of the site. The site is this Manikarnika area, ghat, and you can see the Kachori Gully, the marked in the grey color, is actually a 750 meter long gully that starts from Gadolia Mark to the Manikarnika Ghat, the only gully from where the bodies are brought to the ghat. And this gully is approximately 1.2 meters wide, so you can actually visualize that how much the hearse, the van cannot come into this area. And you can see here Kashi Vishwanath Mandir is approximately 250 meters away from the Manikarnika Ghat. And the Gyanvapi Masjid is also located just near to it. This is the land mass graph, which actually shows the built structures around it. It's a densely populated residential spaces, and it's a mohalla that's around the sites. So, an existing scenario, the lack of infrastructure, scarcity of space for good storage, and immersing disisboard into Ganga, then improper waste management. Okay, this is the it's a proposal by HCPA. It's a proposal by Bimal Patel, HCPA Ahmedabad. It's a Kashi Vishwanath corridor that's just existing. It's just adjacent to my site. The black line shows the proposal line. The red is our site. The proposal states only the Kashi Vishwanath corridor, that's the mandir here, Kashi Vishwanath Mandir, up to this ghat, and leaving back the Manikarnika Ghat, since there is no proposal for it. So, and you can see the images that's demolished houses and nearby mohallas and everything. This is the graph that shows the exploded activities on the Manikarnika Ghat, the steps that leading to the Manikarnika Ghat, the ghat, cremation pyres, the food storage. This is the existing scenario. The cross section from it that shows the bodies are burnt on the ghats, and also above the terrace, also on the terraces of the building. This is a traditional Hindu ceremonies and space analysis chart. There are certain ceremonies that has to be done before the cremation. So there are processions that is being carried. Then there are they seek the blessings from the Manikarnika temple, that's Lord Shiva temple. Then they dip the body to Ganga, which since it's considered as sacred. Then the body is kept for the drying. The wood logs are prepared, and the eldest person lights the funeral pile, and the body is burnt, and the throwing the pot and filled with the water. Then the whole rituals that flows around those spaces. Okay. The overall site design revolves around this area. The site is actually has five existing important factors like this temple, Satwa Baba Mandir, the Baba Mashannath Mandir, Tarakeshwar Temple. This is Manikarnika Kund, and there is this ghat and adjacent ghats also. So this is the elevation from the river towards the ghat, and you can see how historically it's developed. And this is the landmass model you can see here. According to the ritual that I've documented, I realized that there has to be proper segregation of space. Some rituals take place before entering into the gate, and those actually caters to the crematorium part. But the overall concept, when I went to the spaces and realized that there are also Mukti Bhavan, existing Mukti Bhavan, where people check in to die. If they do not die within the range of 15 days, they are actually asked to move back to their original place. So the next person can actually enter into the premise, and since it's considered so sacred, the Mukti Bhavan areas, I cannot ignore that spaces that are already existing on my side. So there's this today's Mukti Bhavans, how the Mukti Bhavans are, and tomorrow's Mukti Bhavan that I will be developing, it will be like this. Okay. So the overall site actually. So the overall site actually develops around the existing places, like the temple here, the Satwa Baba temple. The Mukti Bhavan, existing Mukti Bhavan was this area, but I just developed it and increased it in size. And it is around this mandir so that the people could actually get connected to the mandir and actually get connected to the spaces here also, the cremation part. And it is lifted so that there will be a transparency of spaces, and there will be visual connection with other spaces also. This is an experiential space. This actually shows that this will be explained later on in the diagrams that are coming. And this is the crematorium part, the electric crematorium. It is developed in such a way that the rituals are catered in the mind, and the space analysis, according to the space analysis, we realize that how much area is required for a body to conduct certain rituals. Like there are the shrine spaces, and there are pre-cremation rituals that happen here, and then later on, then it is taken towards the furnaces and the family, and because there are, along with the single deceased body, there are approximately 20 to 25 people along with the body. So we'll have to see the mass footfall on this area. So there are approximately many spill out spaces that generate around this crematorium. Then there are many washrooms and restrooms. So that because after a cremation, it is a ritual that people has to clean themselves, and they used to leave the premise. So there is this restrooms and other arcade spaces for them to settle down. And this is a temporary dorm community accommodation. Actually, these dorm communities are the people who conduct.
Sorry to interrupt. You're done with your time, so just make it fast.
Yes, ma'am. So this is the space that dorm communities live for. Temporarily, they live here, and the crematorium part here. The section shows that how the hierarchy of spaces are lowered towards the ghat and increased once away from the ghat. This is a view from this is the view of a crematorium and the ritual pavilion that's seen here. This is the existing Manikarnika cone, and we have redeveloped around with the arcade. The section shows the experiential spaces here and the crematorium part. This is the overall experiential museum here. The built structure. This is the Mukti Bhavan around the temple. The concept of experiential space, that is the abstract emotion of birth, life, and death. This experiential space is designed to preserve the shades of memory. Such reflective spaces actually punctuate to remind us that it is not important what we remember, but how we remember the person and its memories and emotions that are attached to it. So these spaces are actually ideally spread the message of emotions in abstract way. There are no artifacts in the exhibition, only the abstract ideas are expressed. So this museum is divided into 3 parts, considering a human life. I start with the entrance. The focus is to isolate.
I think your 10 minutes are up. It wouldn't be fair on the others. You should have structured your presentation a little better. Can we just run through the slides?
If this is
And
the ramp
it
that
is
leads to the space, this is the open space that depicts the birth of a
Yeah, I
person.
think you have no time for explanation. Just like press next, 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 and
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
during the Q&A, we can come back to the slides if required.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Jury, any questions?
Congratulations for taking such topic and trying to address many issues. Just I couldn't follow one place where there are you have kept both the systems like Julie and the modern incinerators. Where is that? Can you go back to that slide? I just like to.
And this slide, the electric crematorium and the
Electric, yeah, electric
traditional
chilies.
crematorium. Yes, ma'am. This is the slide.
Just show that where it is in plan.
Yes, ma'am. This is the electric crematorium here, and the traditional burning
Are you
method
pointing? Are you
happening
using a
here.
pointer? Yeah, so that. So
Yes,
from
ma'am. I'm using one.
so from which size the body will be kept inside? Which are the places? Yeah, from where the body and where's
Bodies are kept, ma'am, on the north. Facing the north will be the head, and facing the south, the foot will be there. So north-south direction, the furnaces are kept here. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the electric crematorium. And the same way in the traditional method also, there
so
are pyres that are designed by me.
so the body will be inserted from that small corridor, that side, or the other side, the open.
The body will be inserted from the open space here. Ma'am, from the corridor to the incinerator. Exactly.
From the corridor, okay? From the corridor,
Yes,
the
yes,
central
ma'am. Yes.
corridor.
Yes.
There I have some
Yes.
reservation because when the body is taken inside, there are some rituals which are done, and each and every group needs that place. There's the 4 one, which one? Is this one which I'm showing, or this one? Which is your, I can notate this one or this one? Your electric chuli, this one or this one?
We can't see your screen, so we wouldn't be able to figure out Sanghamitra, but it
Oh,
is the
acha.
4. Yeah, it is the 4 on the right-hand side.
Okay, that
topmost is how I see it, and there is that little corridor, which is the beige color corridor leads to it, and then they have to turn in either left or right, or go straight.
Oh, that is where I have some problem. That
Right.
I mean, that you need a lot of space in front of each one, because that what you call Kagni and all this thing, and each group needs a special place. So there I just noticed that probably that is not taken care of. This is a small detail, but important detail. Otherwise, I appreciate the topic. Yeah, carry on.
Yes, ma'am, the approximate area of the one furnace is approximately 75 square meter, excluding the corridor space. Approximate area of the one furnace is one furnace, and the nearby area is actually 75 square meter in height. So approximately 20 people can at least accommodate in that space. And this beige color corridor is 7.5 meter wide. Sorry, 6 meters wide. So to and fro, there will be a footfall. Am I audible?
You're audible, and I think I also mentioned my concern. That's all, because that needs a very, very different type of place in front of each electrical thing. Okay, we can carry on. If any other question, otherwise, good. I like the project.
A lot of research has been done. I think I appreciate that, definitely. Have you tried to integrate your scheme into the larger um, project by HCP, or you've kind of just kept it as a reference on the side? Because obviously your project, I mean, it is an architecture project, but it has
Yes, sir.
very important urban design implications.
Yes, sir. So actually, during the process, we did not know who, this actually, when this thesis was being conducted, I realized on site that there were certain houses that were demolished, and then later on we realized that it's HCPA that's developing the whole corridor. So I just shifted my site to the adjacent proposal, and I tried to not hamper that proposal and tried that it becomes an amalgamation of two different proposals on a single land that way, because eventually they were not developing this Manikarnika Ghat instead of being so sacred and instead of being neglected widely. So it was my take to actually target this space and ask for a proposal too and get this area redesigned.
Did you have access to HCP's design, or you don't know what it was?
No, sir. No. Actually, I have access to their design. I went to their official sites and I spoke to the Bimal sir also. And I realized there was no, the name of the proposal, there are no entrance. So there were no entrance that were adjacent to my site. So I tried to taking entrances from the Kachori Gully so that both the proposals eventually, when came together, do not overpower each. That way. So I spoke with them about the activities that they were incorporating in their design so that I would not add into my designs also.
Did you build any synergy, or you just tried to keep them separate so that there is no conflict?
No, I tried to make it separate because that's HCPA and I do not want to overpower my design onto that proposal. This is an ongoing proposal and this is a thesis project actually.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, 76. Moving on to the third presentation from fifth year, that is number 7070. Is the person here?
Yeah, he's been made the host already.
All right.
He can
Number
start
70, would you want to go ahead? You're on mute.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Just try to go on the slideshow mode.
Yes. Firstly, introducing you to my thesis topic, Tribal Empowerment Center. So, why Tribal Empowerment Center? India is the country with the large tribal population in the world, and these tribes play a vital role in economical, political, social, and cultural life of the country. So, neither the yesterday nor the tomorrow exist. It is the present and only today that can hold the value of existence. To evolve towards the future, to dive deeper into the bygone, a today is in creation, a seed being sown. Every tribe has its own language, ethnicity, regional areas, own customs, cultural civilizations, superstitions. So these tribes, it is necessary to find out the strengths and initiatives of these people and provide support for their individual development. Now, introduction to the topic.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think you need to go full screen.
Full screen.
Try Control L maybe.
One second, no?
Yeah.
Okay, are you able to see?
So we're not able to see your presentation. Yeah, try again.
Is it visible now?
You're
No.
not sharing your screen anymore. Please start sharing. Click on the green button again.
Maharashtra is a state where the main occupation of the tribes is agriculture, and 85% of the tribal population is depend on it. Rahibai Soma Popere, she is a tribal woman in Akole district who is a self-made expert in agrobiodiversity, land rights conservation, and several techniques in cultivation in Kombhalne village in Ahmednagar district. So for her efforts and contribution, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research honored her with the seat title, and recently she is awarded with the Padma Bhushan and Nari Shakti Puraskar. She formed a Samiti in Akole Taluka, which works towards the conservation and propagation of indigenous crops. She offers training to the farmers and students. So by taking her interview, I got to know that importance of her work, and I decided to build a platform for her work and surrounding local tribes. So these are the case studies for the reference and analysis. First, search Shodgram, which is Society for Education Action Research in Community Health at Kudakwai, Gadchiroli. So this project is completely inspired by Gandhian philosophy and started by Dr. Abhay Bang and Dr. Rani Bang. So this project helped me to approach the rural people and tribal people. So the approach was to go to the people, live with them, love them, listen to them, learn from them, and begin with what they know and build upon what they have. So this case study helped me to decide the approach. Then talking about the planning, scattered planning in harmony with the nature and organic growth we can see in the planning. This case was started with a small hospital and then increased to the multi-purpose activities, de-addiction center, exhibition galleries, then residential corridors and community living. So slowly this area is completely developed for the tribal community living. Then the second case study was Lok Biradari Prakalpa, Hemal Kasa. This was started by Dr. Prakash Baba Amte, but and this was also mainly focused on health, education and the employment of tribal people. But unfortunately, sometimes efforts by Prakash Baba Amte fails due to the uncomfortable modern architecture, which is not likely for which is not comfortable for the tribal people, tribal culture. So then the third case study, Bija Vidyapith Uttarakhand. I did this case study just to understand the seed production and conservation of seeds and species required for it. Now talking about the site. Take second. Now talking about the site. Site is located at Mudkhel, Bhandardara in Akole Tehsil, Ahmednagar district, Maharashtra. Site is 16 acres. Now Sahyadri is one of the major tribal region and many of the Sahyadri ranges passes through Akole Tehsil. Almost 50% of the population of Tehsil is tribal. Then a site is accessible by a 12-meter wide road and a small road going through the Adivasi Pada. We can see
Is there some problem from your end?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, ma'am.
Probably instead of scrolling it down, there's a down tab of pages. You can move that. That will help.
Yeah. Sahyadri is one of the major tribal region in Maharashtra, and many of the tribes, many of the Sahyadri ranges passes through the Akole Tehsil. So I took the site in Akole Tehsil. Almost 50% of the population of Tehsil is tribal.
You have just 5 minutes left. I think you need to optimize your time.
Talking about the site potentials, as I'm focusing on agriculture, this is the major agriculture zone and located at the core of the tribal population, and plenty of availability of water required for the agriculture. Now, site is located at the composite climate. So there are the design strategies used in composite climate. We can see in slide. Aim of the project is to develop an appropriate need-based development strategies for the empowerment of local tribes in Akole Tehsil. Now we can see in design process, scattered planning in harmony with the nature, and we can see the existing settlement in Mudkhel Adivasi Pada. So that is reflected in the planning. Here are the requirements for the center. There is an agricultural learning center, cultural center, hospitals, bank, multipurpose hall, administration center, and cultural center for the arts and crafts. We can see in 3D view.
What's the problem that you're facing? Maybe we can try and help you out because the time is nearly up.
So there is a detail of learning center in. We can see in learning center. Yes, ma'am.
You're done with the present. Like, if you want, we can help. If you say what is the problem from your end.
Okay, ma'am. Now it's working, ma'am. We can go ahead.
Okay, you have 2 more minutes. Please go ahead.
So this is a detailed section of learning center. We can see the street activities in site section, which is firstly going through the hospital, then bank, and then the learning center. So in agricultural learning center, I have included the agricultural classrooms, labs, and as the area is already developed for tourism, so tourist classrooms. This will help them to help them for new opportunities for their employment. Then we can see in next slide the detail of cultural center. In this sheet, we can see the area is developed around the existing banyan tree, and this we can see the activities in the section, like how the materials is used, exposed brickwork, then carvi for the temporary shading, and then the site section showing all the day-to-day activities. Now coming to the next sheet. This is the hospital, including all the facilities like OTs, diagnosis areas, IPD section, trauma section, which is so as there is no nearby hospital in the tribal zone, so there and the side by we can see at the left side, the residential details, in which we can see the small details in construction, like tribal, which are included in tribal houses like konades, khunti. Now, in next slide, we can see the materials for the construction. Here are some traditional and some modern materials, which with the traditional essence used for the construction, with advantages and benefits of composite climate. Here are the construction details. Rat trap bond, it is best for construction in composite climate. It requires thermal insulation. Then it also efficient too, because it reduces the cost of the building, and the load bearing structure, which also reduces the cost of the building. And as this structure is not more than 2 stories, so we can use the load bearing walls. Then this is the social involvement activities in 1920, which helped me to decide my thesis project. As I said earlier, Raibai Somapopere, I took her interview. So in that interview, I got to know the importance and requirements of indigenous farming. So in today's hybrid world, how much it is important, we can see. So as an architect, how to give the inputs to make a world a better place to live. I decided to promote her work and promote other activities for the local tribes. Then I have
your
worked with
time is
the
up. If there's any concluding statement or visuals that you'd like on the screen, I'd say please conclude.
So the basically conclusion was to for the development and the growth of local tribes and the rural area, the work with the Sathi Foundation, it helped me to decide the topic and give my inputs as an architect. So this is what I have.
Thank you. Jury members?
No, I don't have any question. I'm sorry that you faced some problem and couldn't explain. The sketches were very small, but it's well done. I appreciate that you have taken a very, very important issue, and I think you have dealt it quite well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't get flustered. You've done well. I could see a lot of thinking has gone into your scheme. You've picked up a very important topic to deal with. Whatever technical glitches happens with the best of us. Don't let that get you down. Your work shows. I thought that maybe if you had 2-3 minutes more, probably you would have shown us some of the integrating features, because you have a lot of different building types or programmatic components in your design, all coming together in this fairly large kind of thing.
Apologies to interrupt, Ankon. If you think a question or two will help her explain some portions of her design better and show some things that got missed out.
We have the luxury of time like that, because
we
have a couple of minutes. Yes, we could use that time.
So quickly share your screen and you can highlight the points that are relevant to the question being asked.
So I wanted to ask you, if you can quickly tell us what were your programmatic components. I saw there's a hospital there. There's a training center. I believe there was a school. So all of these things, how do they sit together? Because I saw a mass of a lot of buildings. But I want you to just run us very quickly through how you, created that mosaic on the site, because it obviously at a tribal scale, you're trying to keep the scale low. There are simple buildings strung across the site. in terms of strategy of integrating all of these little things into one holistic complex?
Yes,
What
sir.
was your strategies? Just talk us through that very, very quickly.
Sure, sir. So is it visible, sir?
Yes, it's visible. Go ahead. It just became white. It was visible. Yeah, it's visible now. Go ahead.
Sir, first basically I studied the settlement in Mudkhel and as a Adivasi Pada. We can see are you able to see cursor?
Yes.
So this is the main Akole Ratanwadi road. We can see this nearby site. So first I studied their planning, which is scattered in organic form, and we can see the interactive codes, commercial and emergency activities placed throughout the road, that can help the local tribe to reach there. So I reflected that strategy in my planning. So first I decide what could be the requirements. So there was a hospital, here is a hospital. Then there was a cultural center which will help them to promote their arts and craft. We can see after entering to the site, first thing is we can reach is the hospital. Then we go ahead and then we can see the cultural center, which is a semi-public activity. In that, the people work here at the workshops for their for making arts and craft, and there is an exhibition area here where they exhibit their products. Then going ahead, there is a again semi-public area. This is the agricultural learning center. We can see the formation of small courts, and after entering this, there is a first learning area that they are the classrooms. Then going down, we can see the facilities here like libraries, then AV rooms, sports room, and then these are the technical labs for their research. And here is a workshop area which is semi-open, which is not completely enclosed. They have just the roof, and they can have the temporary shading with the carvi walls. Carvi is a grass which is locally available. Then after that, we can here is a small street. We can see here this portion is an Anganwadi area. This I particularly give here because the child's kids playing or learning here, their mothers are also can work nearby in the farm area, in the workshop area. So that was the main point to placing the Anganwadi here. Then there are the bank facilities, and we can see in all over the street, there are some small cattle sheds placed near the trees that we can keep the essence of village, and the small stalls. Here are the stalls. There are these stalls which for the local needs for the day-to-day needs for the local tribes. And then there is a agricultural land for the cultivation. Then these are the residential quarters. After entering, we can see the formal planning. As a hospital should be the as formal as can I made. So as it should be it should be convenient for the circulation. And then after going towards the learning center, I just tilted some blocks to form the to break that formality. And after going towards the residential area, this is completely an informal area, as the tribal people lives in their padas. So
I'll have to step in now. You'll have to close the response to the question. Can't be the presentation.
yes,
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
it's understood. I've understood. You've tried to make it look like an organic village as far as you could. One note to you about speaking. Make a little script for yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and speak to yourself. And as you go, dynamically posit some questions to yourself and try to update the script. This is like real life situation. Somebody throws a question at you or a technical glitch happens, so you're not able to go as per your script. You'll have to think on the spot and be able to come up with a solution to that. So do these little confidence building measures in terms of public speaking. I think keep doing it over a period of time. You'll see that you're getting better at it. As an architect, you're a sensitive person. A lot of thought has gone into your design. Your presentation skills, especially pertaining to you speaking about your work, needs a little more polishing. So on that front, I'm just encouraging you to work on that aspect. I'm sure you'll be a very good architect in the future. Best of luck.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ankon. Thanks, Sanghamitra. The last presenter for the morning.
Yes. Thank you. And like Geeta said, the last presenter for the morning is number 2 from 5th year. The person is already a co-host. Can I request you to please
Hello.
share your screen?
Yes, am I audible?
You are audible. Please
Finally, a
share your
male. In the 5th years, I was seeing it predominantly female. So good to see you.
Is my screen visible to you?
Yes.
loading. Yes, it is.
Okay, so warm regards to all the jurors present. My thesis topic was conflict of man and natural systems, case of rural settlements prone to vulnerability in India. Humans and nature are interdependently intertwined in a relationship characterized by continuous change. The conflict arises from the ever increasing population and their needs, leading to fast degradation of nature and its surroundings. The budding mining sector industries in India, dependent on the natural resources, are the major contributors to the conflict. This leaves the burden of environmental damage on the indigenous communities dependent on the nature, making them more vulnerable. Kawarda, Chhattisgarh has one of the major forest covers and mineral deposits in central India. The land is continuously being affected by rise in mining activities. Bodai Dalili mine is one such example, which has been affecting the local communities and the lush green covers of the plateau, making the lives of people more harsh and vulnerable. The site area consists of sparsely situated settlements in and around the mine, with next to zero institutional and commercial space. With a level contour elevation difference of about 200 meters, the plateau forms steep slopes generating natural drainage patterns. The overall spatial pattern of the settlement depends on the topographical character of the areas they settle in, with the culture of always being connected to nature. Segregated spaces as per their functions and large extended plains are seen. The place is rarely recognized for the treasure it preserves and is endowed with rich cultural heritage and attractive natural diversity. The privileged situation on the site shows the Bega community living a harmonious life with surrounding nature and conserving their tribal culture, tradition, and heritage with passage of time. Slowly, as the time passes by, the plateau undergoes a major change due to bauxite mining, destroying the riverine landscape, agricultural fields, and the tribe. The present day scenario shows a chunk of barren land left behind after exploiting the natural resources and abandoning the site. The local community the local community is left behind with ruins of landscape and burden of environmental damage. It is noted that the people living in the area face acute shortage of amenities necessary for their well-being and existence. Based on the study, a proposal is devised consisting of 4 institutional buildings for the restitution of native culture, economy, and deteriorated site, providing basic facilities that will help the community to evolve and recreate a self-sustaining environment. A project development framework has evolved that includes participatory architecture, whereby the local community will be contributing their ideas and their local expertise in the process of development. The master plan formation is initiated by finding suitable locations for percolation tanks based on the study related to rainwater drainage pattern, which will help capture surface runoff, helping in rejuvenation of groundwater table and green landscape. The untreated mining pits left behind can be covered by non-permeable materials, creating large ponds that will catch rainwater and help in fulfilling the water needs of the community. In order to restore the original situation and fulfill the requirements of the community, a land use pattern is developed that will include expansion of farmlands on the tabletop surrounding the major settlements and major water source. Segregated land for development of medical and food forests, curating various species of medically important flora used as ethnomedicines and to fulfill the needs of consumption of forest produce. Inspired from the local tradition and the history, the rejuvenation process will incorporate social and agroforestry practices. The four institutional interventions will act as the focal point of the development of the region. They are spread across the region with an idea of equal and overall development of the site and fall in 1 kilometer zone from each other. The existing settlement follows some parameters of creating an organic pattern with a buffer zone with main access road and placing the built mass based on primary and secondary circulation axis and giving major emphasis on the contours of the site. A main activity spine is created by multiple covered and semi-covered spaces. These derivations are set as the basic parameters, design parameters for the development of the interventions, creating friendly and community-oriented structures, incorporating the concept of creating segregated, multifunctional, and porous spaces. Community school. As one enters the building premises, multiple levels of the structure are perceived with multiple green spaces and segregated built mass. The straight monotonous walk along the corridor is broken by including steps and series of cutouts and pergolas in the roof. A pattern of interconnecting spaces is created, connecting the workshop, classroom, and the backyard, generating a flow of movement from covered to open spaces. The green areas and the corridors are created such that they act as multi-usage spaces, generating informal interactions and study sessions, keeping the children more connected to the nature. Vocational Training Center. The building is in a form of a leaf with all the classroom spaces connected to the main transitional spine, draped in green landscape. The built space opens out in the main spine, creating a knowledge corridor where various people with different expertise acknowledge each other. The built mass is further connected on the outer side of with model farms to practice various farming techniques, increasing the percent of open spaces in the structure. The main spine is a combination of series of steps and multiple spill-out spaces, which breaks the transitional pattern and creates pause points for various activities and social interactions. Linking the two educational-based interventions, multiple gathering and recreational spaces are created with an idea of binding the children and the adults in a change of knowledge exchange. Approach from the primary road, one sees two structures submerged in a subtle landscape covered by series of trees, water bodies, mounds, and fields. Medical center and maternity clinic. As one enters the clinic, the large sloping roof over the waiting area acts as the welcoming element flanked by multiple ramps connecting the segregated spaces of the clinic. The building is majorly divided into two halves, public zone at lower level and private at higher level, considering the hierarchy of spaces. Slopes and corridors add up to about 20% of the build space, generating easy and swift movements, separating the paths of public and staff circulation. Extended plains and the adjoining green spaces acts as major activity hotspots and as a buffer to the wards. Community center and market. The community center is in the form of an envelope covering the community ground with different levels bifurcating spaces with different functions connected via slopes and a series of steps. The flap-like extension to the community center serves as a space for weekly market, developing over natural slopes of site. With extended circulation spaces, it acts like a village where multiple activities can take place, increasing the percentage of circulation spaces. Multiple functions are generated that help in carrying out various cultural and traditional activities, increasing the community cohesiveness and preserves the cultural heritage of the community. Segregated pattern helps in achieving porous structures, allowing easy airflow through the open spaces and breaks harsh and direct sunlight. The V-shaped roof plays vital role in climate regulation as it helps in easy air passage and indirect light through the spaces. The adjoining green spaces help in cooling down the hot air. Mud roll and country tiles are taken as the roofing materials based on the comparison between various materials on 6 parameters. Walls made of compressed earth blocks and traditional wooden screens are adapted, integrating local participation in the construction process. With an idea to create a self-sustaining intervention, basic elements are added to the building like collection of rainwater using solar power and reusing waste produced for agricultural practices. The sparsely sited interventions work together and support the functioning of each other, along with the involvement of Bega community in creating a healthy and self-sustaining habitat for the present and future generations of the community, and be instrumental in helping land regain its original state. With the rejuvenation of the site, there will be increase in opportunities leading to rise in economy, living standards, and the traditional heritage, culture, and environment of the Baga community. It is said that relationships foster and turn more harmonious when people are better connected to the natural habitat. Thank you.
Very much on time. Thank you for your presentation. Over to the jury members.
Let's Ankon start first.
Congratulations, very well knit together scheme.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about your building materials. What are you planning to build this out of? Any thoughts?
Sir, the building, as I said, the building will be using multiple materials. Like they'll be using the local clay for making the bricks, and they use locally available wooden twigs and like thin bamboo strips to make wooden jallis. So when that will be included to make this, and the roof will be made by the mud rolls, and it will be covered by handmade country tiles. So majority of the things that this will be constructed will be done by the local communities and from the locally available materials.
Explain to me these roles. What is it actually?
Okay, sir. So okay, I'll just zoom into this one.
Yeah, just zoom into this.
Okay, so this I said. Just a second. Yeah. So in the center, it will be like some wooden stick that will be covered with mud rolls. So the mud rolls will be using the locally available mud, and that will be uh, it's quite easily available and can be gathered from the surroundings, which they use for their houses also, and will be wrapped around with some bags or some cloth that will keep it in the place, and will be wrapped around the wooden stick, and that will help as an insulation material between the tiles that cover the top and the underneath spaces, and will be directly covered with the country tiles.
So is this something they do there traditionally using these kind of mud rolls?
No, sir. They traditionally do not use such kind of mud rolls, but yeah, they use the locally available clay to cover their walls and some spaces of the roof, so that keeps the underneath cool.
Okay. This mud rolls is your idea, or you've seen it somewhere, or what's the provenance for this?
So I have seen it in J1. I visited it, so that's where I saw the mud rolls, and it acts quite effectively when they are placed in hot climate. So I try to incorporate the idea so that in that sense it can make this um, livable in that climate where it is placed, and also can be easily made by the locals and can also be adapted in their houses also. So that was a basic idea.
Okay. Okay, ma'am, please go ahead with your.
Okay, I think it's very well done and the topic you have taken. Only one small observation, because you were taking on us contour side. So it's in the plan, it's always customary to show the contour lines to relate it to the site. And I was looking for that and I missed it. Because it's
Yes, ma'am.
quite restricted.
I sorry to interrupt, ma'am. I tried to show them, but I guess they are not clearly visible to this uh,
They are,
condition right
okay.
now.
Yeah, probably that that scale is not visible. So yeah, some of the areas where.
Yeah. So if I zoom in, so that might be visible.
Acha, okay. I got it. Okay. Thank you. I think it's well done. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you, ma'am.
very pertinent and a very relevant projects, I think. Social concern, environmental concern, which is your major theme. That's very appreciable. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I also enjoyed looking at your plans. Very architectonically very interesting to. I mean, of course, you've probably responded to the contours,
Yes, sir.
but even then, I mean, their placements are. I mean, they're creating very interesting spaces.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So all the participants can actually now leave the meeting and we'll have the jury deliberation.
Anyone wants to share their experience for the jury can, well, any participant want to tell?
Share what you were saying in the morning about the kind of entries and the how it enthused you. Maybe if you
Yeah,
have.
I think I don't know whether the first year is still there and the fifth year is still there. I think I mean, I really feel I enjoyed a lot. I really learned from all of you. First year, I mean, the creativity, the maturity. I think is tremendous. The enthusiasm, and that really fills my heart. And I'd really like to see that all of you pursue this profession and do great. And for the fifth year, I'm really very touched with the social, environmental concern, the type of projects, what you have taken out. They are not customary projects. You've really taken out of the box, which needs a lot of courage, I should say, apart from the social, environmental concern. I hope that you keep that and then pursue. And we need people like you in the profession. And also, I would like to say to all the things, I think it's one of the difficult tasks to evaluate, but I think this is the responsibility. So even probably we will select, we have to select one, but I would like to tell the others also that, I mean, I think it's very difficult. All of you have done really good. So, I mean, even if you don't get the whatever, and don't get discouraged, because I think all of you are really done very well. That's what I would like to say. And I really hope you stay in the profession and you contribute with your empathy, perception, awareness, concern. Thank you. All the best.
I think what Didi is also trying to say is that, and I must say that she also was telling me in the morning that it's not just these 4 that have made it here. The entries from across kind of encouraged her a lot. So I think NASA should take that back to all the participants, and it kind of tells us that we are on the right track, and like she said, we need people like you, not just in the profession, but in society as well. Ankon, your words to the participants who are here.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking back to the first shortlisting process, when I was giving the marks and the ranks, I was, there were 3 people I would give like the first rank. Then there were 3 people I would give like the 4th rank, because obviously that's how ranking proceeds, right? You have to, and they were all equal, and they had strengths in their schemes which were, of different sorts. So I couldn't say like isko 5 number kam milenge and that sort of thing. So I was literally clubbing and saying that, hey, these 3 people are, 1, 1, 1. And then unfortunately the, that the guy who's actually second, he becomes 4th, because that's how, I mean, usually when you rank, that's how ranking proceeds. So I just want to say that, I mean, if you guys have made it to the shortlist, I mean, you're already a winner in my eyes. You've come through a very fine sieving process. There have been very good schemes which have, by a whisker, gotten left behind and not made it to the shortlist. So if you are in the shortlist, that means that you have already created a scheme or a design, or your work already shines in a particular way. So don't be disheartened by the fact that you didn't get the trophy or whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you already have all the makings of a creative professional. Just keep polishing your skills, and hopefully you stick around being an architect and not do an MBA and move on in life. Some of that onus is on us as more senior professionals to create that environment where you guys continue to be in the profession and are not disheartened and move on. But having said that, congratulations and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ankon.
I would just like to add one point, I mean, which again, I mean, probably I'm repeating, that nowadays, it's not only the profession of architecture. We need people like you in our society, the way we are going, and where it's much beyond the architecture, as I say, the concern, the other thing, which is that at the juncture, we need more and more of people like you to raise the voice, to show through the design what you can do. So that is architecture as a profession has now taken a very, very responsible position to put. So that's why we need people like you in our society. That's very important, and that's what you all of you have really showed that, and that's why. Okay, congratulations. Thank you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so can we move to the discussion?
Yes, so I'll request all the participants to kindly leave the meeting. Only the NASA Council members, the jury members, and Team ETHOS through first year. Geeta, do you want to also move to like another breakout room just with the jury members?
Safer enough, safer, because if someone comes in while the discussion's happening, it might be.
So,
just
Siddhi, you are the host. Can you enable a breakout room or just make me the host and I'll do it quickly?
Yeah.